Alright, hello everyone, welcome to the second to last review of the year. I want to say maybe it'd squeeze in Age of Calamity, but it's coming out on the 20th, so I don't think it's gonna be in time for the awards, so that's probably gonna be next year, because, you know, we do the first impression on the 20th, and then I've got to play it for a few more days to see if I like it or not. Then I'd be typing the script, recording the script, and we'd be way into December at that point, so maybe, maybe not. But so this is going to be the second to last review, then we've got Crash, and then we've got the awards. So this is the story section of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have already done the gameplay section, and you can go watch that in the playlist. It's already in the review playlist. And I'll leave a annotation at the end of the video, like with the subscribe button and stuff, to say there's part one. So if you want to watch that first, just spin to the end of the video and click that, or, you know, it's easy to find. I'll even leave a link in the description below. So we're on the story section, and I made this its own section because this one section will take a long time. You know, we're doing another long one, another hour one, because there's a lot to go over. I'm going to break it down in terms of most of the characters first, and then the story and the characters that tie into the story, because I'm going to do the ones that aren't affected. So, you know, we can do a few really quick, like Tifa. She's a little bit more energetic, which is fine, but unaffected. Aerith, again, she is a little bit more energetic. She is a little bit more taking a liking to Cloud. She will do a couple of extra, I wouldn't say girlfriend things, but, you know, flirtatious things, as she hangs around Tifa a lot more in this story. So she's not as emotionless, which is fine. I like the direction that they took there, giving her a bit more life. Barrett, again, pretty much the same. I don't like some of his movements. They give him the weird, what's the word? The weird Muppet-like movements for some reason in some scenes. Like when we're in the demo, for example, and he's talking about the planet. In the original, he just kind of stands there, says, "Hey, we're trying to stop them from killing the planet." Fine. And then in the remake, you get this. Why was that needed? Why do we need the extra shot of him just like twitching his head round and laughing? Less is more, my friend. Less is more. What's all this about? What's all this? Random fucking arm waving. And you notice that with him in particular. I don't know if that's the way they wanted to animate aggression. I have to call it aggression, but like, he just seems to have these random arm flails, and he's very animated for no particular reason. Like, even in scenes where he doesn't need to be animated, he'll just be like, "Oh, random arm flail." Like, his character is mostly untouched and remains the same. You know, he is the leader of Avalanche, but again, what's this animation for? Why does he need to end his sentence and then do that arm flail? Just a bit weird to me. So yeah, Reno and Rude, pretty much the same. They do try to make Reno a little bit more sympathetic. Like when he has to kill a couple of innocent people, he's just following his orders, but like he does have a moment of regret, and that's good for Advent Children. You know, obviously we're not going to be in Advent Children, but in Advent Children, after the fall of Shinra, I mean, Shinra's still around, and they still kind of like work for what will then become a old man, debilitated Rufus in the wheelchair, but like they are pretty much the good guys in Advent Children. So going from the original to Advent Children was a little bit of a leap, whereas now, where you can see that Reno feels the regret for shooting an innocent man, and that kind of rubs off onto Rude, that kind of makes a nicer transition into Advent Children. So they're mostly untouched, but they get a little bit more humanity, so that's great, that's fine. Who else is mostly untouched? Red 13, mostly untouched. Like, I won't really say too much about him, because he does play into a scene in the story, and that's one thing I will get into as we go through the story. So Red 13, mostly untouched. Aside from like that one scene, but yeah, we'll get to that. And I think that's about it, aside from the 2 Avalanche, which do get a big overhaul, and then that character that's gonna fuck it up potentially. I was trying to think. Oh yeah, and then Don Corneo, he's untouched, but they animated him so well. We'll get to that as we go through the story and we get to what is Midgar's version of the Red Light District, but that particular area with Don Corneo and the other guy that will eventually become like the guy that says, yes, you get my approval, Cloud. You know the scene I'm talking about. They are untouched, but also they are animated so well. That's the animation done right, opposed to Barrett's animation done for no particular reason. And aside from them, and then there's Rufus, which I don't like the hint at a redemption, because when he is sitting with the board of directors in a meeting, that at one point, and it's not said, but you could kind of see it in his face, at one point there's a hint of like, yeah, I kind of feel bad for this redemption, where we don't really need to redeem an asshole. He's a businessman that's going to destroy people for the sake of it. But then this bitch is like,
sir, I don't see how...
2 words, Reeve. Neo Midgar.
bitch, shut the fuck up. Stop trying to take the blame. Stop it! He's a bad guy. Stop trying to make him look good because you're an even bigger bitch. Fuck you, bitch. You get a fuck you, and he also gets a fuck you. But I mean, like, again, that comes down to Advent Children, kind of like, well, in Advent Children, when he catches Geostigma, he knows he's gonna die of it, so he's a little bit regretful, so this would transition smoothly into Advent Children, and it's like, yes, but no, and at the end of the day, he was there purely as the stepping stone. He was the greedy corporate asshole that was a greedy corporate asshole, and he was there as little more than a stepping stone to the bigger villain who is so integrally tied to the this version of the story that I'm not going to bring him up yet. So like, But then you've got Avalanche, and this is like extra done right, and Hojo as well. Hojo's still like the dickhead scientist, but this is where extra animations, extra time to work on these characters and flush these characters out really pays off. The Avalanche crew really get some nice development. Like, we don't just say, oh, this fat guy and this girl, we don't know that. I mean, they did have names in the original, but this is kind of how they were treated in the original. Oh, this fat guy and this girl, yeah, we don't care about their names. We don't know who you are. You are just Avalanche member A and Avalanche member B. And when they die in the original, that's it. Oh, well, they died, but they were cannon fodder. They don't matter. Whereas in this version, we get to go to their house. We get to see why she joined Avalanche, why she's doing this, why she wants to help this cause. We see her family, we see her emotions, we see a better character development for both of them, and it makes it no longer just, oh, they're doing this for the sake of doing it. It makes it of, well, this company, Shinra, is fucking everything up, and now we get to see why these people joined, because this is how these people were directly affected by Shinra. This is what has happened to them and their lives, which has been caused by this corporation, and how their lives have been pretty much destroyed because of this corporation. And then it gives them a driving motive to join Avalanche and a driving motive to stay there and see Avalanche through to the end, which makes them a lot more engaging. It makes their interactions with Cloud and the party a lot more engaging than it was in the original. So when we potentially have the death of these characters... Time ghosts! When we potentially have the death of these characters, it's a lot more impactful. It's not just like, oh, she died, fuck her, she was just Avalanche member A. When they die, time ghosts! When they die, it's like, oh my god. Oh shit, she actually fucking... I mean, you knew it was coming if you played the original. It's like, oh fuck. Oh, she actually died. I feel bad. Oh, I actually feel bad now. Oh no, I feel fucking... Oh shit, I feel bad because I'm the one that fucking did that. I could have stopped that. Oh, I feel fucking bad. I mean, time ghosts! So, yeah, I like them. And the same with Hojo. In the original, he was a dickhead scientist. He was the one that was one of the root causes of all the problems going on within the Final Fantasy VII story. He experimented on the alien. He put the alien cells into people. Some of the people with them alien cells, like a certain long silver-haired man, went a bit wacky pants and they want to destroy the planet. So in a way, it all falls down to him. But he was a dickhead scientist, and that was it. Whereas now, because again we have more time to flush this character out, he's not just a dickhead scientist, he is a dickhead scientist that is so much of a cunt that you want him to die even more. When he's in a room with the executives, the people that he's working with, he treats them as inferior. He doesn't even treat them as alive. He's just like, oh, these creatures, these fucking small-brained capitalist idiots. Like, it's like, you know who it's like? It's like Jim Carrey's Robotnik when he's talking to the military man.
Allow me to clarify. In a sequentially ranked hierarchy based on level of critical importance, the disparity between us is too vast to quantify. Agent Stone?
The doctor thinks you're basic.
That scene, I'm probably going to get fucking DMCA for that scene. Oh, you put 5 seconds of a Sonic clip in, get that ass banned. Nah, that should be alright, but it's definitely going to be a copyright claim, so goodbye monetization. But yeah, he's like that. Even when there is another scientist that is performing these experiments with him, or a member of Shinra, even the CEO that's talking to him, he doesn't care, he doesn't listen, because his intellect is beyond you. The spatial gap between us is far too great, and you are nothing more than a test subject, test subject F. And honestly, if you weren't the CEO, you'd be on that operating table, because you are just organic life for my pleasure. You are organic life for me to toy with. So he's a good mix in this version of Jim Carrey's Robotnik, where he has got a big ego, so his intellect through the fucking roof, and also White Diamond, where living creatures, even like humans or the dogs like Red 13, even if they're sentient, they're not as sentient as him, so by his logic and reason, he is an emotionless being, and he doesn't care who gets hurt, because at the end of the day, it's just logic that an inferior person should be used to further the betterment of the rest of humanity. And the way he speaks, like the voice actor that they give him, is the perfect voice actor. You can feel that arrogant cunt bastard just radiating through the mic. So when you get cutscenes with Hojo, it's a joy to watch him on screen, because he becomes that villain that you really fucking detest, and you just want to see Sephiroth stab the bastard. Like, every time he's on screen doing smug tones to the main characters, or smug tones to anybody, you're just like, I just want Mr. Silverhair to drop from the roof and just off with your fucking head, you bastard. So they did a fantastic job with giving Hojo more screen time to just make him even more of a bastard than he already was in the original. So both the Avalanche crew, aside from Barrett, because he was already a main character, but we're talking about the underlings, so both the Avalanche crew and Hojo, giving them that extra screen time, giving them extra scenes, really went a long way to just making their characters all the better. And then with everything out of the way, we move into the story. Spyro, what about that other character? I don't know what other character you mean. The character, Cloud's dad. Cloud... Boys in tech... Okay, listen, right. Cloud is an emotionless person because he doesn't want to let anybody in. Because the only person he ever let into his life died. And that's why he is very scared to let anybody in or show any kind of emotion, because he doesn't want the same thing to happen to everybody else. And that person is back alive, which is Zack. So I know he exists, and I will leave him to the end. In terms of his character, he remains unaltered. He is a very nice boy, he acts very friendly to everybody, and when he needs to get serious, he is mad strong. So he is very good boy, and he is relatively unchanged. However, time ghosts! Time! It's time for Space Ghost Coast to Coast! We'll come back to Zack at the very end. I know he's there. You don't need to tell me he's there. I know he's there. I'm slightly mad that he's there. But we'll leave him for the end, because that's to do with the ending. Okay, let's get into the story. Which, let's just play the Just a Pancake clip.
Hey Nomura.
What the flip is up, Teiyasu, co-director of the Kingdom Hearts franchise?
Could you please send me the script for Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance 2?
I sent you the script a week ago.
Actually, you gave me the script for the ending portion of the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
What?
I must admit, you did a phenomenal job. I'm sure that even the most hardcore fans of the original will appreciate what you did with the story.
Oops.
Okay, so yeah. You give me the ending to Dream Drop Distance 2. Oops. Haha there, Nomoura. Very funny. And that is because, despite being called Final Fantasy VII Remake, it is not a remake. It is a completely different story. And that leads to an interesting point at the end, but also a very terrifying point given who has got the pen in his hand. So let's just go through the main story and then we'll add the new. So the main story is relatively unchanged. Shinra is still a massive corporation that has made Midgar and is draining the life from the planet. Avalanche is still the eco-terrorist group that wish to take down Shinra so that the planet just doesn't die out faster. These things remain the same. Most of the scenes, the major scenes of Midgar, as we talked about in the gameplay, we only get the Midgar section and not all of Midgar, because we don't get the Disneyland section with the Chocobo racing. Where's me goddamn Chocobo racing, Square Enix? You could have at least given me the Chocobo racing area, bastard! So most of the cutscenes in Midgar are relatively unchanged. Most of the events that happen are relatively unchanged. We still have to blow up the nuclear reactor. It's one of the first missions we do, and it's the mission in the demo. We still have to go through the red light district and beat the Hell House to get into, or to get the money to buy the dress. We still have to get the approval and then the subsequent things that happen around the honeybee area. We still have to do most of the story beat by beat. So that's great. Thank you very much. Seeing those particular areas and those particular cutscenes remastered, or again the Don Corneo bit that we'll come to in a moment, seeing those, they're fantastic. In fact, let's just go to that right now. Let's talk about what is there right now. Like when we get to the Honeybee Inn or the Red Light District in general, first of all the subsequent stuff leading up to the Hell House and then the fight with the Hell House itself, that's great. And then when we actually get the money to get the dress and go and get the approval, we get fantastic extra scenes. We get to see the Honeybee Inn and the honeybees themselves in all their fantastic glory, as me and Luminite really enjoyed that particular bit. That's what the picture is on screen. Very nice! But then you get this guy. And in the original, he just kind of walks out and you'll walk on stage, but there's nothing really too big because it's PlayStation 1. Now, he gets to be more fluent, more effeminate. And when he calls Cloud on stage and he's like, "Ooh, come here, big boy," and they have to do the riding solo dance choreography scene, that was fantastic. That was a joy. It's just a simple quick time event where you've got to press a couple of buttons, but oh my god, it was funny. It was funny because it took the original scene and lifted it up. And when you get the cross-dressing moment where it's now like all these sparkling lights and you're getting all the pedestals rising up, nice touch, great remaster. And when we have him speaking, the effeminate one, he sells the role. He sells that this person is a gay boy that is like, yes please. And he again, like Hojo and the Avalanche crew, he sells that character and it makes that character all the better. The remastered scene with Don Corneo.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a loser! I don't have money to...
Just give me money!
Give me monies! I need you guys to step it up. Why am I toxic? I'm an evil, dirty, heinous scammer who steals money from little children. And Phil's commentary is boring, and that's why people don't want to watch the playthroughs of the streams. Bullshit. Bullshit. I call massive bullshit on any idiot who says that. I call complete and utter bullshit on anyone who's saying that I'm not engaged and I sound like I'm bored. I'm not. So, I've had enough excuses. It just seems to me like people are fucking lazy.
The first thing I can tell you, salt. That's all I can taste is salt.
Here's what you can do, Ninstar Rune. You can go fuck yourself and never come back. And I mean that. Don't ever ask to come back, because you're not the kind of person I want watching my streams. You're the person who tries to derail the stream constantly with nonsense, and I don't need your cheers to fucking survive. I can make do without Ninstar Rune being a 50-bit bitch and derailing my streams with negativity, nonsense, and stupid shit.
Look at this slimy piece of shit. Look at the way they have animated this slimy motherfucker, like just all hunched over and drooling, and look at his fingers constantly moving like, I want to grab them titties. Like, you can see him at one point with Aerith, he's just like, ooh, I want to grab him. Look at my fingers there, and I've got the grabby hands ready. He is such a slimy bastard. And the way that he moves, the way that he's animated, and again, the voice actor, they did a fantastic job taking the original PlayStation 1 scene and just remastering it into this. So it's not just like these stilted, stiff, polygonal movements. He's very snake-like. His body like gyrates and moves, and his fingers are constantly wiggling, and it makes him just come across as a right piece of shit, which is what he is. And it's like, yes, that is a fantastic remake of an original scene. So like, all the original scenes that are there, like the original story moments, when you see the original story moments remastered, oh, that's some reignited trilogy shit. That's some insane trilogy shit. That's the kind of remaster that I want to see. Then you get to the new stuff. Now, it's not that the new stuff is animated poorly. The new stuff is animated fantastically. It's the new story beats that kind of like, don't know. So, starting off, after we blow up the reactor, we get out, you know, there's the fire, and we get this.
You're not real. You're dead.
I am.
I killed you with my own...
Oh, you need not remind me. It was the crowning moment of our time together. But that was then, and this is now. I have a favor to ask. Our beloved planet is dying. Slowly. Silently. Painfully. Can you bear to see the planet suffer? Cloud. Were the planet to die, so many things would be lost. Your hometown burned so bright. The sound of her voice, pleading for me to spare you. The shiver of her flesh, yielding to cold steel. That which binds us together would be no more, and I would be loath to live in such a world, which is why I must ask you this one favor. Don't worry, it's a simple thing. Run, Cloud. Run away. You have to leave. You have to live.
You bastard! Yeah!
Good, Cloud. Very good. Hold on to that hatred.
Alright, so this is right near the beginning of the game, and this is somewhat of a problem because from the very beginning of the game, you know who Sephiroth is. I am still going to try and keep what Sephiroth is to a minimum till the end, because it's not only just a who, it's also a what and a when. Oh god, we're getting back to Kingdom Hearts, but like, just, you know he's here now, and like, this is a problem because of what happens in the original. By showing Sephiroth at the beginning is akin to showing the alien at the beginning of the Alien film. The Alien film was built up on the fear of the unknown, and throughout the film, all you know is there is an alien. It is fucking super hostile, super strong, and if it sees you, you're fucking dead. And that's it. Is it super fast? I don't know. Is it camouflaged? I don't know. So, the way that the film, and why the film is so critically acclaimed, is the fact that the way that it's built up is by using your own fear and your own paranoia against you. Because when you're watching that film, it is putting you in the position of the Marines, where you don't know what the creature is, what it looks like, how it's going to kill somebody, so your own paranoia helps fill in that blank. So if you're an arachnophobe, you might perceive this killing machine as a giant spider, because you don't know what it is, because you haven't seen it, and it can kill people, so your own paranoia is filling in the blanks. And this is how Sephiroth was handled in the original. Throughout most of the original game, up until the very last third, Sephiroth is kept a secret. You know he's there, you hear his name. Like, when we go into a room with some guards, they will mention the name Sephiroth, but that's it. You don't know who he really is. All you know is he is very strong, he is very angry, and he can very easily take everything apart. And you know this because even the Shinra guards are scared. When they see you, you know, when they see you and Barret, they're like, oh, these are the terrorists, we will shoot these terrorists. And even if Cloud is a soldier, which comes into a later aspect about the Genova cells, but even if Cloud was a soldier, they still are like, oh yeah, but he's not Zack. He's not Zack. He's not Zack, he's just some rookie soldier, and they're willing to attack you. Even though you are technically a super soldier, even though you can technically beat them, that they will still attack you. But hearing the name Sephiroth, they shit their pants. They're like, I ain't fucking taking him on. But he's gonna go for the president, then the president's gonna die. I'm fucking walking away from this. So, by only saying these things and not showing these things, it builds up an image of just how strong Sephiroth is. And then you get to the impalement scene, not the Aerith one, the Shinra one. And they did this also a little bit shit in the remake, and I think that was for censorship, like, well, we can't show blood. In the original, after this man has been built up, and we've still not seen him, but we've seen the horrible acts that he's doing, we get to the CEO's hallway. And this is the original clip. As we are walking through this hallway, we see the carpets and the walls drenched in blood, just swimming in dark red blood, all the way up to the office. And he's not even in the office. We get to the president, we get to Mr. Shinra himself, the root of all this corporate evil, and we're ready to fight him. And out of nowhere, he's fucking dead. Gone. You didn't even know I was in this room, and I just stabbed this man. You didn't even know I was here. I could have killed all of you, and you wouldn't have even known. And when you see that in the original, even if it's polygonal, that's your first look at Sephiroth. And that really shows you how terrifying this man is. Not only has he just massacred all of the best guards that protect the president as if they were nothing, leaving the hallway drenched in blood, but he's been standing in the same room with you this entire time, and you didn't even notice until he kills the president. You didn't even see him. And that builds up, and then obviously at that point, you will be at the transition phase where you will be leaving Midgar, because that kind of closes the Midgar act. There is a little bit more after it on the PlayStation 1, like there is right now, but in terms of the Midgar act, that is all you see of Sephiroth, and that closes the Sephiroth act. So, like, that first and only interaction with him gives you a true sense of what you're up against. This isn't just like a couple of goons. This guy was standing in the same room and you didn't even fucking see him. And through all the things that you've heard about him, those guards being like, I ain't fucking taking him on, all that then becomes justified because of this moment. Everything was built up correctly without showing him, so when that kill happens, it's like, oh fuck, and all that build up was justified. In the remake, you can't get this, because not only does he show up right after the tutorial area where you blow up the factory, he shows up a lot. A lot. Like, he needs to be front and center. He is the poster boy that is front and center of the box, and he will constantly be spouting exposition at you, which only really diminishes the appearance of Sephiroth and diminishes who he is. And I understand why which is something we'll come to near the end. I understand why in this version you did that, but at the same time, while I do understand the why, I also don't particularly approve of it, because again, it diminishes that particular part of the story. So, yeah. And not only that, we have to then compound the fact by the big fact that's coming, that's the time ghosts. So you've already kind of like wasted Sephiroth's potential by showing him early and having him show up pretty much non-stop, which diminishes the kill scene. But then you also add the time ghosts in, which are, oh boy, which just diminish him by extension a little bit further. And it's like, I know why you did it, but I don't like why you did it. But that'll be for the end. So then we'll move on. So yeah, Sephiroth diminished. However, we do get potential setup, and this is where I will speak about the last character in here before going into why I've been kind of holding things off. Time ghosts! So the last character, however, we still don't know anything, but it looks like they're finally setting it up for what it should have always been. And that is my favourite character, which is Jenova, which is the lady in the tank. As through the very, 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 very small tidbits we got in the originals, like One Way to a Smile, Advent Children, Last Orders, and the original game, we know several things, which is Jenova is an alien, and she was not always like the way she is. She is not always eldritch horror in a tank. At one point she was human. Whether she had the blue skin or not is debatable, but she was human, and she had big black angel wings. That's where Sephiroth gets his angel wing from, and if you want to talk about Crisis Core, that's where Genesis also gets his angel wing from, his mother, or at least his biological mother. And if you look at what she is now, you can see on her back are two wing-like crystals, like her wings have been crystallized and they have been broken, but you can definitely see a wing shape on her back. So from the little bits we know, she wasn't always trapped in the tank. She was human. She did have big black angel wings, and she was from another world, another planet, from space. Then, at some point, she came to Earth at the time, about 2,000 years ago, when the Ancients were around. She befriended Aerith. Her and Aerith had an interaction, and then an event happened that destroyed the Ancients. We don't know what. It wasn't a meteor. She fell from the sky and she was there, then the event happened. Maybe it was her making the black materia, as the black materia is used to summon Meteor, and that is how she travels the galaxy. So maybe it was the creation of the black materia. Nobody knows. All we know is she had at least a minimum level of friendship with Aerith. Then an event happened that wiped out the Ancient Ones and left her in a state that she's currently in due to the way her body works, which is the reunion thing, which is where she has sentience in every single cell in her body, and even if one drop of blood is removed from her body, she can mentally say to that drop of blood, return to me, return to the source, so she can reconstitute herself. So like with the cataclysm that happened, she was blown to pieces. The Ancients were completely killed. She was blown to pieces, but it doesn't matter because she can say to all of her individual body parts, all of her individual atoms, return to me, reconstitute. I am the nucleus, I am the mother cell, all other cells return to this point, and I shall reconstitute into what I was. And obviously, when she was found, she wasn't fully reconstituted. She was put in the jar, which is where Hojo found her. So it's like, that's pretty much all we know. That's it. We don't know what planet she's from, why she came to Earth, what those interactions with Aerith were. Nothing. We don't know anything. And in this one, they have done a very strange double-edged sword, because in the original, Jenova was the antagonist. While Sephiroth was obviously the one that took the starring role, she is obviously the root evil, as it is her cells that are in Sephiroth. It is her cells that are in all these monsters. If Jenova didn't exist, Final Fantasy VII wouldn't exist, because without her, there would be no Jenova cells to put in people, there would be no Sephiroth, there would be no Final Fantasy VII. So she is literally integral to the story. And in a very brief moment in Dredge of Cerberus, where we get like either her speaking through Vincent when Vincent becomes the demon, or at least that's what the cells in Vincent's body are telling him to say, we get the point that she is the moral grey, because yes, everything is her fault. She is the one that was the calamity that fell from the sky. She is the one that has all of these cells in people like Sephiroth. But it wasn't by her will. Hojo took that blood out of her without of her permission. He put her in that tank without her permission. So when you have this dickhead prodding and poking you, taking your blood without you asking, you're naturally going to be pissed. And if you are the mother cell that can control every other cell, when Mr. Hojo makes a beast that can destroy towns and cities for the Shinra Corporation, and you have direct control of that, yes, you are going to use it to fuck them up. And while you are going to be evil because that beast is the one doing the killing, and that beast is because it's a result of you, well, is that really evil? I am basically just taking revenge. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for the man to take my blood and put it into Sephiroth. I didn't ask the man to take my blood and put it into these animals. I didn't ask to be locked in a tube. I'm just doing this as a sign of revenge. I'm just doing this to destroy Shinra because they fucked me first, so can you really call me the evil one? And that was pretty much all we got from Dredge of Cerberus. And in this version, she seems more of a mindless beast. We haven't really got the chance to have that interaction. Again, it's split into parts. But from the way that the shot is taken with Sephiroth, where they hide her face, that comes back to a Sephiroth moment where the reason why he went cuckoo in the head is because when he saw her face, he saw himself in her. So he saw Jenova's long silver hair, he has long silver hair, he saw himself in her, and he was like, well, and obviously he doesn't know she's immortal, keep that in mind, he doesn't know that she is immortal like potentially Aerith. So when she dies, what if I end up in that tank? When she goes away, they're going to need somebody else to experiment on. What if I end up just like her? I'm going to go cuckoo loco, and that's it, everybody dies. I am going to find Mother's materia, I am going to summon the meteor, I am going to be the star of the show, because I don't want to end up like my mother in that tank. And by doing this scene, I've got the freeze frame for you, where they purposefully hide her face. Well, he hasn't seen her face, which means he won't see himself in her, which means he won't really have a motive to go Coco Loco. So, diminishes Sephiroth again there, but also diminishes Jenova a bit, because it makes her look more like Type Null, the beast in the mask that you can't see, rather than the alien sentience that's literally controlling every cell all over the place. So However, while that scene is a bit weird, and again, I hate it because it diminishes both of them, I know why you did it, because of Sephiroth and the time ghosts. I understand why you did it. I understand what this Sephiroth is. Not who he is, I understand what this Sephiroth is. I get what you're doing, but I hate that because you diminish both the characters. However, on the flip side, it does look like we are setting up to finally get all of the answers and give the main character of the entire game an actual main role. As when we get into Shinra, we get a brand new cutscene where Shinra is giving some propaganda about the way that they are providing a clean energy source, and this is how the Ancient Ones, which is what Aerith is, this is how the Ancient Ones would have wanted it. And you get this holodeck where you see all of the natural wonder of the world and like all the structures being built. But there is one key scene in this little propaganda film that sticks out, which is where you see a shooting star fall from the sky onto an ancient world, which she is called the calamity that fell from the sky. So we can assume that Shinra knows this, or at least has a text of this, and the shooting star falling to the ground but not destroying it. Keep in mind, it did not destroy it. That is not the cataclysm that happened. That is just her arrival. So we can assume that they knew she arrived, and they might have even considered her, as Hojo did, the Ancient One. She wasn't an Ancient One, Aerith was, but they don't know that, so they can consider her as the Ancient One that arrived on a shooting star. So we've got this scene set up, and then when we actually get the reveal of Jenova, it is not just the Sephiroth scene where he rips away the big metal angel, he sees his mother. The angel's already gone, that's been deleted, and we get Aerith immediately recognizing this woman, and Aerith saying Jenova.
What is that?
Jenova.
Which ties into the very, very brief moment that we know that even if they weren't friends, that Aerith definitely had an interaction with Jenova. Even if they didn't like each other, even if what we assume from the very little lore we've got, even if that's all wrong, just by this one moment of Aerith seeing her, recognizing her, and saying in a somewhat panicked voice, Jenova, like, ah, Jenova, you're alive. By this facial expression, by the tone of her voice, this is now the concrete evidence that there was definitely an interaction between Jenova and Aerith. And now, hopefully, this is the setup we want. And I would love if you actually finished and followed through with this setup. I would like to see Aerith recount her past as an ancient. I would like to see Jenova fully reconstituted in ancient times, where we get that interaction, where we get, so what is your name? Jenova, where did you come from? Arcadia, why did you come to this world? Because I am a traveller of the stars. Why do you have angel wings? Please, you have got the setup, nomoura. If you are going to do this setup, and considering Jenova is so integral to the entire story because it's her fucking blood that's making everything go wrong, fill in that backstory. We already kind of had the backstory, and by this scene of the shooting star landing and this scene of Aerith physically knowing who she is, you've set up the backstory. Please now follow through. Please finish the backstory so that we can finally actually know why she came to this world and what planet she's from, or if she is indeed like an actual real angel that was cast out of heaven. either one. Like, you've set it up. Please finish it. Please, like, give Jenova the credit she deserves. Because I know Sephiroth always takes the starring role. I know Sephiroth is always the star of the show because he's the pretty boy with Cloud. But, like, again, she is literally the driving force. If it wasn't for her coming to Earth on the meteor or shooting star, there would be no black materia. Jenova made the black materia. It is Jenova's. Without her, the entire premise of the meteor destroying Earth wouldn't exist. Without her blood, the soldiers and the monsters and Sephiroth would not exist. So, like, you've set it up. Please give her the justice that she deserves. Onwards now, we move to the actual big thing. The thing I hate, the thing that drives me up the fucking wall. Because, as I say, these scenes have diminished Jenova. These scenes have diminished Sephiroth. With the Zack scene, these scenes have diminished Zack and Cloud. These scenes have diminished a lot of people. And that's because they want to retell the entire story, which is very fucking dangerous in a remake. You are a dangerous man, Nomoura. So, the idea is, Sephiroth is a time traveler. Oh, fucking boy, time travel. Oh, fucking boy, time travel. Oh, God. So, in a parallel universe. Oh, really? Time travel and parallel universes? Yes. For that, Luigi, we need to talk about parallel universes. Nomoura, are you sure you can write this? Are you sure are you sure that you're up to writing time travel and parallel universe? No, one, both! Are you sure you're up to writing both? I've seen your writing skills in Kingdom Hearts 3, where you reform Xehanort, where you reform the Deblace, and he gets to go to Keyblade Heaven with his brother Erasquise. Are you sure you're up to writing this? Are you sure? Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it. This is what it's all built up to. There's no getting around it now. So in a parallel universe, which is apparently the real Final Fantasy VII, the PlayStation 1 version, in the PlayStation 1 version of the Final Fantasy universe, Sephiroth, just before he turns into the big god form, has a vision of himself dying. He has a vision of the big angel form losing to Cloud, and he has a vision of him getting omni-slashed to death in that black void. And he doesn't want that. He wants to defy destiny. He thinks that what he has seen is fate. No matter what universe, what timeline, what dimension he goes to, you cannot undo fate. It is fate and destiny that you will always lose, and you will always die. And so he wants to change destiny. So he travels through time and space, warping through time and space. King Bowser appeared, warping through time and space. Sephiroth appeared. He wants to appear at key moments in the Final Fantasy VII story in order to change Cloud's mind, in order to change destiny, to defy fate itself, and make sure that this is the timeline where he succeeds. And by doing this, he adds time ghosts.
Ghost, he's invaded my butt. He's trying to control me. Help! I called the pizza place and I tell them I want a ghost pizza. Pizza Baker Man says don't call or I break your fucking knees.
are not called time ghosts, they are called the Ghosts of Fate. And the Ghosts of Fate are multi-dimensional beings that make sure that fate always happens the way it happens. So when Barrett dies, when a main character dies, which isn't supposed to happen, when certain characters die that isn't supposed to happen, the time ghost, go on, do the Super Mario 1-up.
Interest fully was when Barrett gets fucking murdered by Cloud's ex-boyfriend and they bring him back to life, because it isn't his fated time to die.
They bring him back to life. Because Barrett, it is not your fated time to die. Your hourglass has not yet run dry, and we as the Ghosts of Fate need to make sure that you do not die until the fated moment, until you are destined to face your end. And until that moment, you cannot die. So this man that has tried to defy fate and kill you, we will once again defy him and bring you back from the dead. So that's what these ghosts are. So at key moments when Sephiroth shows up, he will attempt to subvert destiny, and the time ghosts will try to fix the timeline. They will try to fix destiny. And that comes down to the problem that we face with Sephiroth when I said not who he is, but what he is. And what he is a time traveller of different Sephiroths from different points in time. So that's not only a that's not only a what he is, but a when he is. When is this Sephiroth? As the one at the very beginning, the one that grabs Cloud's hand, the one that shows he is superior, that is the Sephiroth that saw his own death. That is the Sephiroth of the future that saw his own death and is here to tell Cloud that destiny will be defied. But then at the very end of the game, where you get this cutscene of 7 seconds till the end that we'll get to, during this entire end scene interaction, he's very calm. He's very relaxed. He doesn't see Cloud as an enemy. He probably doesn't even know who Cloud is. And this is a Sephiroth of Crisis Core. This is the one that is still a true good boy. A pure, uncorrupted being that is mostly still in league with Soldier. He is the best of the best. And he doesn't know who Cloud is, and all he knows is, at that point, destiny has been changed, and he wishes for Cloud to help him. That's not like a help me take over the world. That's not a help me destroy everything. That's a I can see you are on equal footing to me. Join me. Help me understand what's going on. Help me understand what it means to defy destiny. Cloud obviously refuses, because Cloud thinks that this Sephiroth is the same Sephiroth that has done what he's done throughout the game. So, like, he doesn't understand there are two different Sephiroths. And by going through the entire story, there is a minimum. Keep this in mind, minimum. There is a minimum of 4 different Sephiroths from 4 different points in the game. There is a Sephiroth from Crisis Core, the one at the end, that's just like, oh, you know, I'm just here. There is a Sephiroth from the end of Final Fantasy VII, the original, that foresaw his death. And then there is a third Sephiroth from Advent Children that's like, I have seen past the end. I have seen where the life stream rips out the earth and kills everyone. I am Sephiroth. I am the ghost of Sephiroth past. I am the ghost of Sephiroth present. And I am the ghost of Sephiroth yet to come. And then there's even a 4th Sephiroth. And that's at minimum. That's at a bare minimum. So you've got 4 different Sephiroths that are all now defying destiny. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, fuck Nomoura, why? So that's why Sephiroth's character is a bit diminished. However, what Sephiroth does is he wins. So by the end of the game, all of the time ghosts all join together as one big arbiter of fate. They are powerless to stop you and Sephiroth as a single, so they meld together to become the ultimate arbiter of fate, the big arbiter of fate. And you defeat it. Like, you don't kill it, you defeat it. But because it's weakened, Sephiroth kills it. And that comes to the Sephiroth at the end, where even though it's still the Crisis Core Sephiroth that doesn't know about Genova and doesn't know about him going Coco Loco, he says, I can feel it. You know, destiny is defied. Destiny is destroyed. It no longer happens. And I understand why you have done this. I get it. But I don't know if I trust the man behind the pen. As by destroying the Arbiter of Fate, anything can happen now. Literally anything can happen. It's like, the idea of the Arbiters of Fate was to make sure we follow the remake as the original game intended. We, as the Arbiters of Fate, make sure that Barrett does not die till his destined moment. We make sure that Sephiroth pulls a nice big shish kebab with Aerith right through the chest. These are things that were destined to happen and must happen. But by killing him, anything can happen. As we saw by Zack coming back, which is again a very dangerous card to play, because Cloud is the way he is because of Zack. So if Cloud finds out that Zack's alive, I don't know. But mainly though, if we take Zack out of the picture, that means that everyone now has a new hourglass above their head. We think Aerith will die at this point. We think that Tifa and Red 13 and Vincent will be alive and will stay alive and will win because Advent Children showed that they were alive. We saw their victory, but that was because Destiny was at play. We could start up part 2 and Tifa could die, and that's it. Tifa's dead forever and she's not coming back. That would change the narrative. And this comes down to, I think it's an interview. Nobody can confirm. Some people say it is, some people say it isn't. I've looked through it. I have read some of the interviews and there is a hint of it. I don't think Nomoura wants to say yes, it's definitely the fans, but there is definitely, when he comes to the point about talking about people now having a new target above their head, it definitely implies it, which is, in an interview with Oda, he says that he understands that people really love this game and people want to see a fantastic remake, but he also thinks that there was room to improve the series. And from this he does point out the people that I have pointed out. He points out that he would like to flush out the Avalanche crew more, which he did. That is technically not in the remake, yet all of the original fans enjoy this edition. The extra stuff with Hojo was not in the original, but it's stuff that the original fans like. They like the additions to Hojo. They like the additions to the Avalanche crew. So already, I am not following the exact one-for-one notes. I feel like there is more to add on to this story. I feel like more can be done. And with all of the extra media, like Last Order, Crisis Core, One Way to a Smile, Advent Children, I can add all of those side content into one big game. And we've already seen that just a little bit with the fact that Zack's alive, with some of the things that we see with Zack. We see that ending of Crisis Core or Last Orders, where Zack sacrifices himself to let Cloud escape. We don't have to go watch Last Order anymore. We don't need to see Last Order anymore, because Last Order is now here, in the bundle. We don't have to play Crisis Core anymore, because the parts with Zack and Crisis Core Sephiroth are now here, in the bundle. So, like, I understand where he's coming from. He says, you know, there's so much more that I can make this story, and with all the additional content like One Way to a Smile and Last Order, I can take that and I can just put it into one big package. I can show everything I need to show, and I feel like I can make it better, which is a big fucking statement, because, you know, that's considered one of the best RPGs of all time, and you're saying you can make it better? Big fucking statement, Nomura, but there have been hints of it. I understand, you know, with the Avalanche crew, with Hojo, with adding some of the Last Order's stuff, there have been hints of a better story being written. And then he says, but in order to write a better story, in order to add everything that I want to add, I have to destroy the original concept. So there will be people that will want to keep it the way it is, and that's where my writing becomes difficult, because I have to walk a fine line between keeping the original fans happy and trying to make it new. And I feel like the Arbiters of Fate, you know, the ghosts, I'll just keep calling them time ghosts, I feel like the time ghosts are the best way of doing this, as they are the embodiment of destiny, and by killing destiny, by destroying fate, I have given myself the allowance of, well, what if I do take the story in this direction? I'm no longer bound by the rules of the original, I'm no longer bound by the narrative of the original, because the original was destined to happen, and I have killed destiny itself. And, like, while that is a very good way to word it, I also have seen the argument that the time ghosts are the die-hard fans. They are the ones that want a reignited trilogy. They are the ones that want everything to go exactly as the original did. And in a roundabout way, by killing the time ghosts, you are killing the original fans. You are killing the die-hard Final Fantasy VII fans that do not want to see change no matter what. Even if it's like the Avalanche crew, even if it's change for the better, even if in a future part, because I can't say it's gonna happen, but like, even if we get Genova's backstory, which would be a fantastic addition because we finally know who she is, we finally know the cause of all of this, even if we got Genova's backstory, which would be a great addition, the original die-hard fans would hate to know Genova's backstory. The die-hard fans would hate to see the improvements of the Avalanche crew because it's not following the original note for note, point for point. So he worded it correctly, he worded it very well, but some people have pointed out that's what it's a metaphor for. Now, I myself do kind of see that, and it's like, when I saw the Reignited trilogy, and I'll admit it, when I saw the Reignited trilogy, and I saw the Twilight Harbor Splatoon guns, which are still fucking stupid, I am one of those ghosts. I am a fucking ghost of fate. I don't want my games. I don't want my trilogy to be fucked up by Bobby Kotick. I don't want my trilogy to be changed. I want to see myself free the 80 dragons and see it as it was. And when you add things like the Splatoon guns, that bad, I want to change Destiny to be back to the guns. So I see that metaphor. I understand that metaphor. However, like the Reignited trilogy, I like the additions. I like the fact that you give every single dragon a personality. They are no longer, you know, Dragon A, B, and C. Bubba is Bubba. He is big, strong Dragon Daddy, and everybody wants to get into bed with Daddy. Because they want to say, oh yes, harder Daddy. Because that's how you develop that character. Everybody sees Magnus as the big, fat, chubby one. Because we all like those love handles. Everybody sees all the dragons as individuals. They're no longer Dragon A, B, C, and D. They are now Nesta, Magnus, Bubba. They're all of them. They all have a name. So, like, that's a great addition. That's changing it for the better. So, I can understand where people are coming from, saying that the Time Ghosts are the original fans that don't want something to change. Because I was one of those ghosts when I saw them guns in Twilight Harbor. I wanted to defy that. I wanted Destiny to follow course and have them guns as guns and not fucking Splatoon guns. But at the same time, I understand Nomoura's point. What if I could make it better? What if I could change the dragons you save from just dragon number 80 to Nesta, to Magnus, to Bubba, to have every one of them have a character. So I understand where he's coming from. And that final moment where we kill Fate, where we destroy Destiny, and we get that final scene with Sephiroth and Cloud, where nobody knows what 7 seconds till the end means. What can you do in 7 seconds? That's obviously something that's being set up as a bigger role, and also the other line. That which lies ahead does not yet exist. Which comes down to the point of killing Fate. Because if we had Fate, if everything was preordained, that which lies ahead already exists. It's a movie. You know, if you're watching a movie, that movie isn't being made up as you go along. That movie is already finished. That movie's ending is set in stone. So, like, the whole idea of now, that which lies ahead does not yet exist, because Fate is no longer playing a role. So anything that happens, it's no longer a scripted event. The ending is no longer set in stone. There is now a chance for an event to happen like that, on the fly. You didn't see it coming. And I like that idea. But that comes down to my biggest criticism, which is the writer himself. While I like Nomoura's idea, while I respect Nomoura's idea, while I would even back Nomoura's idea, I'm concerned because it is Nomoura. Already, by putting Sephiroth everywhere, you diminish the character of Sephiroth by having him show up all the time rather than that big grand reveal in the CEO's office. You diminish the character. While you have shown that little star falling from the sky in the propaganda room and Aerith directly saying Jenova's name in voice, recognizing who she is, you also slightly diminish Jenova by having a mask on her face when Sephiroth saw her, which again comes to more of Sephiroth. These are characters that are being diminished for the sake of you being able to rewrite the plot. And now I get that on this first part, the Ghosts of Fate were still active. The Ghosts of Fate were still actively making an attempt to make sure things go the way they were. And now that they're gone, if you can do it, and this is a big if you can do it, I will have the utmost respect for you that you took what is considered one of the greatest RPGs and RPG stories of all time, where people make videos like this.
Final Fantasy VII is a dramatic game, one that makes you examine the world around you, because it presents you with so many parallels. It's also fun as hell. From little gophers that attack you in the countryside to the biggest weapon unleashed by the planet onto you, a human, viewed as a threat by the planet. The battles can be exhilarating, and to lighten the mood a little bit, you can participate in a giant bird racing league. It's a game filled with sadness and learning to deal with life, and of course, stopping the powerful from making grave mistakes. I'm sure among people that love this game as much as I do, there's 100 different reasons for what made Final Fantasy VII so great. But for me, even though the game wasn't perfect, it truly opened my eyes as to what games could be.
You took that and you made something your own. You made something unique, and potentially you made something even better. If you did that, goddamn, I have the utmost respect for you for being able to take on such a monumental task. However, you have written Kingdom Hearts. You have written Nobodies and Hearts and Darkness and Hearts and Darkness. And it was wacky pants. It was fucking abysmal by the end. You know, in the first one, you already had a couple of plot holes. When Sora became a Heartless and Kairi just brought his body back, even the Wikipedia says it came back somehow.
He's like, Bibbidi Bobbidi Deus Ex Machina, bitch. And Sora turns back to normal, which contradicts everything we understand about how any of this works, but sure, fine. Ansem sees all this and is like, seriously, like, I checked the wiki and they used the word somehow. Whatever, I'm outie, peace. And Sora follows him to Destiny Islands, but now it's all destroyed, so it's Deprestiny Islands. And
yeah, we're gonna explain that? No? Okay. And then you got into Kingdom Hearts 2 with Nobodies, which, okay, makes sense. And that one was fine, no real plot holes. When a person dies, their heart goes to the Heartless, and the husk left behind is a nobody. But then, you got all the side content, and Kingdom Hearts 3, where it's like, well, Xehanort can travel through time, and he's putting a piece of himself into other people, like Voldemort. And then, like, Ventus looks exactly like Roxas, and Ventus is inside Sora, even though Ventus is from 20 years ago. And when he went to sleep 20 years ago, his heart was drifting in the darkness till it found a young boy called Sora, and his heart or soul entered Sora. And that's why when Sora breaks apart into his Heartless and his Nobody Roxas looks like Ventus, hence they got the Tus at the end of the name. But then Vanitas, who was before Sora, looks like Sora. And then when Xigbar sees Roxas, he sees Ventus, because Xigbar is remembering his past life as Braig, which is remembering his past life as Luciu, because apparently Xehanort is not the final boss, even though he is like the ultimate mastermind. It is actually fucking Xigbar or Braig, who is Luciu, who is from the Age of Fairy Tales that happened before the worlds were divided. What the fuck, Nomura? Just stop! Just stop writing! Stop it! Stop! Stop! Put the pen down! Give me the pen! Give it to me! You don't... Pen's over there. You're grounded from that fucking pen. But I need to write an ending to Kingdom Hearts 3. You fucked the ending up. You fucking redeemed Xehanort. The one guy, the cause for all of this, the cause for all of the evil, you fucking redeemed him. I can write a better ending. I don't believe you. Yeah, I can. Okay. There's the pen. Alright, well, so what's going to happen is, now that he's dead, because Sora used the power of waking to bring Kairi back, Sora's technically dead. So Kairi has to go through the final world, which could potentially be heaven or the afterlife, we don't know. And she's going to try and reconstitute the pieces of Sora's heart to make him come back alive. And while that's going on, Sora is going to cross dimensions into the Virium Rex dimension, which is actually not just a video game inside of the Toy Story world, but it's actually a real world, which is actually our world, which is Japan, which is actually connected to Final Fantasy 16, where Yuzora, who is a real character, says, why are you using Sora's name? Because the Sora that we've known for 20 fucking years is not actually Sora, and he has been sent to save Sora, but it's not actually Sora in Virium Rex. It's all a dream inside of Yuzora's head, as when Sora dies, he gets turned into crystal. By the way, the ending where you lose, not the ending where you win, the ending where you lose is the canonical ending. So when you die, you get turned into crystal, and Yuzora's like, I will save you somehow, Sora, and then he wakes up in a car in fucking Midgard. No! 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 Give me that fucking pen! Do you see the problem? Do you see the problem? So, I understand what Nomura wants to do. I understand that it could be very good. But this is Nomura. This is a man that, when he gets hold of that fucking pen, nobody reins him in. Nobody proofreads his shit. He writes, and he writes, and he writes, and he doesn't stop writing. Even when it turns into nonsensical fucking babble, like Kingdom Hearts 3, and that fucking ending with Yuzora. And then, let me just point out, by the way, that fucking ending with Yuzora, that could mean, by the way, and there's very strong proof to actually say what he's saying is true, that entire ending could mean that all the Kingdom Hearts, every single one of them, were all a dream that didn't exist. And here's a fucking 8-hour! Here is an 8-hour document documenting why everything could have just all been a dream. Because it actually brings up some legitimate points that make me angry that it could actually be real. And you want to remake, you want to retell the story of what is considered one of the greatest RPGs of all time. So while I respect what Nomura wants to do, while I enjoy the extras that he has put in, like the Avalanche crew, like Hojo, like potentially setting up Genova's backstory, while I do appreciate all this, while I do think that you are doing well, now that you have finally got what you wanted, now you've finally killed the ghosts of fate and you can write anything, now that you can literally write anything, that's where I'm worried. That's where I get fucking terrified, because I know what you write like. I have seen what you write like in Kingdom Hearts, and when you start writing, you don't stop writing, and you will write whatever nonsensical stupid shite goes through your head, and you do not have anybody to stop you. There is nobody that stops you. There is nobody that proofreads your shit. If I was in that room with you at the development of Kingdom Hearts 3, Nomura, I would have taken your script and I would have said, no, that page can go. No, that page can go. No, that page can go. Because none of this makes any fucking sense. And none of this needs to confuse the player even more than they already are confused with all the babble that happened in 358 over 2 days and Birth by Sleep 0.2, a fragmented passage that is a real fucking title. So, yeah, that, like, if you are going to do this, for fuck's sake, please, please have some fucking editors. If you want to write a brand new Final Fantasy VII, then for fuck's sake, get a proofreader. Get somebody holding your goddamn leash. Or if he doesn't want somebody holding the leash, fucking hell, Square Enix, get a collar on this man. Get somebody holding that leash, and when he starts going wacky pants, just give it a tug and say, no. Get a spray bottle. No. Bad. Bad Nomura. Spray bottle. Bad Nomura. Just don't let him go full fucking force. If he can do it, it could become one of the most amazing fucking turnarounds, and somehow put that on a fucking pedestal. But it's Nomura writing, and that's why I'm scared. I like the idea. I like the direction it's going in. I want to see what happens to all these characters now that we're not playing the same game again. But I do not trust the man behind the pen. I do not trust the man that can't write Kingdom Hearts, which is a kid's game. And this is a mature game. This game has themes of eco-terrorism and destroying like countless lives and saving the environment. It's all subtle, but like, this is a guy that can't write a children's game, and you want him to write about fucking aliens having a moral grey area where they're in the right because, you know, they didn't ask to have their blood taken? I don't trust the man with the pen. That's my main issue. I do not trust the man with the pen. If you are going to give him that pen, make sure you have got many people around him so that you can just take that pen away if needed, or just like have an editor to say, no. That's, you know, we've let you do a lot of shit, but that shit, that's going a little bit too far. So, in terms of the first one, final verdict, in terms of the first part of the story, it's still, for the most part, the original story. We still get most of the story beats, like blowing up the power plant, like the red light district with the cross-dressing. We get most of the same story beats. We get extra little spice that adds to this story, like the Avalanche team, like Hojo, like some of the fantastic animations on Don Corneo. That's all fantastic. The time ghosts, very fucking risky, and they do diminish some characters, like Sephiroth and Zack and Genova, if only a little bit. And I get why they had to be there, because they are the setup to what is to come. In terms of this part of the story, I give it a 4 out of 5. It's fucking good. Seeing all of the original scenes like the Don Corneo scene, seeing all of the original scenes remastered like the Reignited trilogy looks fucking amazing. Seeing all the new scenes with Hojo and the Avalanche crew looks fucking amazing. And seeing the setup, not so much the execution, but seeing the setup of what's to come is very interesting. I am interested to see it. However, there are some scenes with the Time Ghost bringing Barrett back to life, don't so much like that, and now it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. But in terms of the first part on its own, it's got some great additions. All the original stuff has been remastered beautifully, and the idea of making Destiny be destroyed, that's a very interesting idea, and a very, very dangerous idea, and I too like to live dangerously. So I am excited. I am both excited and terrified. I am excited, and I love the first part of the story, because for the most part, it is a 1-for-1 remake of the story with some very nice additions. But now it comes to, here's the pen, Nomura. Here is me very reluctantly, hand shaking, giving you the fucking pen. So while the first part is great, now the true scrutiny begins. Because, yeah, it was good, it was fine. I enjoyed both the gameplay. I would have preferred a turn-based gameplay. I would have liked to have seen a turn-based mode. But I don't mind the gameplay. I like the gameplay, I like its gameplay. And I do like the original parts of the story, and even some of the new parts. And there was probably no doubt in anybody's mind that this first part was going to be fine. But now the true scrutiny begins. Now that the Arbiter of Fate is dead. Now that Destiny no longer applies. You know, now that which lies ahead does not yet exist. 7 seconds till the end. Now that he has full and total creative control over the writing, now the fucking sweats are on. Now the terror fucking begins. Now you're like, oh Jesus Christ, is this going to be a Kingdom Hearts 3? So yeah, this part's good, this part's fine. But the second part, don't fuck it up. I'm fucking worried for that second part. I'm terrified for that second part. Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. And that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry for the black screen outro here. This is where the Patreons would be. But my desktop, it's a goddamn fucking mess. But that's because I have got every piece of footage for the top 5 and bottom 5. We have got one more review coming up, which is going to be Crash Bandicoot 4's gameplay. That's half done. And that will be the last review and last video of the year. And then we'll just go straight in to what was the best and what was the worst. But because I've got footage for the best and the worst, my desktop is a complete mess. But the Patreons are somewhere in this menagerie. But for now, thank you very much to Dark Blue Fire and Dede for the support. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, as well as all of you for watching. That also means a lot. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like, and if you want to see more content, then press subscribe and ring the bell. And then there's always links down below to the Patreon if you would like to support even further, like Dark Blue Fire and Deddy, or the Discord if you want to come in and talk to me while I'm working on videos, my Twitter so you can see what I'm tweeting. Sometimes I tweet little sneak peeks of videos, and of course that's it, isn't it? Discord, Twitter, oh, and Twitch for when I'm live streaming, because I do live streaming at least once a week. This week it is currently once a week because it's the end of the year and I've got to work on the top 5 and bottom 5. But yeah, so thank you all, and I'll see all of you in the next video, which will be the Crash Bandicoot 4 gameplay review, because we've already done all the other aspects, and then in this one we get into things like the relics, perfect relics and purple relics. So yeah, I'll see all of you in that video, and then we're done. But thank you all for watching, and thank you once more to Dark Blue Fire and Deddy for the Patreon support. It means a lot to me. Anyway, see all of you in the next one.